I say to the honourable gentleman, give me this.
You are listening to Fockham Hall with Eric von Essex.
Right, Robert, I just got to do the introduction, and I'll just keep on here, and we'll speak to you because it's live now. Okay. Good evening and welcome to another exciting show, and it's going to be very exciting because Robert can't come on live for some unknown reason. Hang on a moment. We'll just turn it off there. Now we've got Robert live. We've got him actually on another line. So Robert, are you there? It's doubtful if anybody. Right, now the thing to do is if you go into Telegram and you go onto where it says Robert, you know, your own dooflop, your own place, you'll see a link there. You just press that and you'll come straight into the studio. What? Yeah. That's the link. Just press that and you come straight in. Right. Hang on. I'll send you another link, and we'll see if that one. I'll send it through Telegram, which is a lot easier. Okay. So we just send you another link. Where are we? Where are we? Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a slight technical problem, but it's all good fun, isn't it? You know.
Would you like me to sing a song?
Yeah, sing a song, and can you play the spoons as well? Right. Let's.
I've got one.
Right. Okay. Right, here we are. Right, I've just sent a link through to you, Robert. So you should be able to come through, and it says reincarnation, and you just press that link, and you should come straight through to the studio. And that's on Telegram. Okay. So.
Good evening, everyone in chat.
Yeah, this is exciting, isn't it? Yes, folks.
It is. It's like it's like when the BBC Two used to end, and it used to get the was it where you just had the picture and it was the end.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yes. Now I don't know if no Rumble area. It should be on Rumble. I don't know. Thanks for telling me that. It seems everything's going wrong tonight, but never mind. It'll all sort itself out. And now, can people, when I speak to Robert, can you actually hear me? Because we might be able to do it through Telegram. I don't know. So I get. Yeah, I can hear you, but I don't know whether the audience can hear you or not. So can you actually hear Robert when he speaks on Telegram?
Let me just go and log into YouTube now, I'll tell you.
Oh, thanks, mate. That's much appreciated. Right, here we go.
Apologies if there's any
yeah. So when you press to come into the studio, it just says you got to join Restream, does it? That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. No, don't worry. Well, you can switch this cam off if you want. No, I can't see you because you haven't come into the studio yet. So you just press to come into the studio and you should come straight in. There we are. Right. So sorry about this, people. Right. Okay. I should get you coming through any moment now. And I'll ring straight off from Telegram because we're going to get a feedback if you come in. So I can't see you. So you haven't come in yet. Well, you should.
I'm in YouTube at the moment. I can't hear.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. So we can't hear Robert. So I don't know quite how we're going to do this. So I haven't had you haven't turned up in the studio yet, so I don't know quite. So can you press it again or something, or go out and come back in again, or you know? Okay, then I'll have to ring off from Telegram, and I'll ring you back if there's any problems. Okay. Righto. Where are we? Right, here we are. Right. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. We have a slight cock up. Robert was due to join us, but instead we have got his Royal Hanorak doing an impersonation of Robert. So that's not bad. So there we are.
I am.
Brommy accent on, please. So we could both do an impersonation of Robert.
Oh,
from Birmingham, Lord.
I can do a Brummie accent.
Yeah, that's a good one, isn't it?
I can tell you about the 529 bus that goes to Warsaw.
I don't know what the hell's
Only
happening.
the Midlands.
And he can't get in.
Only the Midlands could have a bus that has 529 on it. Nowhere else in the world has got a 529. Only the Midlands have got a 529.
529.
Goes through Willinghall and up to Warsaw.
What is it about?
And you get off the bus in Warsaw and you go to Birmingham. This accent comes rather too easily out of bad.
I don't know. It goes straight into it, doesn't it? But what is it? Is the ball ring still in? Hang on. It's just got one of many silly disguises. Yes. Hang on. Good evening, Robert, and you have joined us at last.
Hi, Chris. Oh, my
hello,
God.
mate. Now, welcome, Robert. Now, we're in small pictures on the side of the screen, and Robert, we've been trying to put a Birmingham accent on, but I don't think we fooled the audience. No, we definitely haven't. But you've lost your Brummie accent. I don't know quite why, but we've got, as part of the team, we've got his Royal Hanorak here, and he sort of remains hovering around the background and that. He fills in, and he's the technical fella. He's been helping me along. So thanks. Oh, he's Paul. Is between you and I. So thanks, Paul. You're great help. And welcome everybody. This is we've actually got Robert in the studio. Welcome, Robert. And you're on Food for Thought Radio.
Thank you.
We should be on Rumble, but for some unknown reason, the bleeding thing isn't. We're also on Holylandradio, Holyland FM, and of course YouTube. And contact thanks, mate. Don't knock the Brummie accent. I'm not. Anyway.
Yeah, I was born in Wolverhampton, so I could get away with it.
You poor sod.
Hello.
Now, Robert, sorry, we're being very rude to people from Birmingham. I'm sure you're. I think you were probably born just outside.
I'm used to it.
I think you were born just outside Birmingham, wasn't you? You're not a full Brummie.
No, I was born smack dab in the centre. Yeah. No, I was the posh one. I was the one that had the one pair of shoes in the family and that was allowed to read and write. I had my own little slate and my bit of chalk. And I had a horse called Dobbin that I used to ride to school with my powdered wig, a long time ago.
And I'm just going to put your volume up a little bit because you're a little bit quiet. So okay. I think that's a little bit better. Sorry, right, we're okay. Now, Robert, Chameleons. We're going to talk about Chameleons now. In the chat, can you hear Robert okay? I've just popped his volume up a little bit. Now, we come across chameleons a lot. And most of the time, most chameleons, I would say, I'm talking about the human type, of course, not the reptile type, although some humans are reptiles. But politicians, I found, are mainly chameleons. They tell people what they want to hear. And once they get voted in, they do the complete opposite. So what's your stance on chameleons? Because it was your idea. I think it's a very good one to have a show called Chameleons.
To be honest with you, I think it's something that will chime with absolutely everybody, even the self-employed in the feed here, if there are any among our number. it's the way that you have to wear two masks. One is the righteous side. The one, by righteous I mean right in what one thinks. That's what I mean by righteous. And then you've got the one that you have to show to get along at work. To get along with the gossips, to get along with the water cooler merchants that, I don't gossip, but, your secret's safe with me. And I said, well, nobody's secret's safe with you because you told me all the secrets. That's
precisely.
It. So
yes.
It's how we Paul's laughing there. He knows what I'm talking about. One has to actually navigate one's way, and it is literally like walking through a minefield with no map. I found that I've just started a new job, as you probably know, Chris. I've ended my penal servitude in Mayfair, and I'm actually working normal hours now. It's actually 2 days a week, which is pretty awesome. And I'm actually getting home to eat a meal that I cook on the day, as opposed to do that. But that's aside. I mean, what I've had to go through just to get my neck through the noose, as it were, and I use that metaphor quite advisedly, really. But what I've had to do, I had to fill out 11 different onboarding forms. Plus, there's a company called Verifile that does a background check on you, a DBS.
That's
check.
right. I've had that check on me. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So this is something, this is something I've never had to do before. I've had background checks. I mean, they go to your previous employer. They said, did he steal anything above and besides a stapler and a few highlighters? Did he do anything like that? And they say, well, no, he was kosher. Why did he leave? We made him redundant. He decided to leave or whatever. He didn't get on with somebody. But they're not even allowed to say that now, apparently. But when one goes to lodge DSARs on people are very, very snaky. People are very snaky. So what you've done is, in order to fit in, you've given them your deepest personal information to which you are not privy, even when you ask by law for a listing of what they have on you. It's amazing. So that's one of the chameleon-like things that you have to do to fit in, amongst many, many other things. And it's also, I think, for me, or I can see how it can put a strain on certain people, certain personalities that just want a peaceful life. I can see how it would put undue stress on somebody. Just not being able to just go to work, just plug in to their matrix, do your job, eat your little slurp and refuse the steak like Cypher, and then come out of it again. It's amazing. I think Paul would have a good perspective on this as well.
I think the understanding with regards to communities is a little bit like when somebody gets promoted. You were saying about work. So when somebody gets promoted, goes up to management level, they go from being a decent individual a lot of the time to becoming a bit of a tosser, should we say? Because they think that because they got manager in their title now, that they are somehow more important, even though as soon as they step outside the front door of the office, they're the same as everybody else. If they're waiting for a train that's 20 minutes late, whether you're a managing director or a peasant, it's still 20 minutes late and you're still going to be 20 minutes late for work. Do you know what I mean? It's still...
I agree with you.
I think ego gets people too often.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess that's the world we're in at the moment as it stands.
And the Ash conformity aspect of it, Chris and Paul. The Ash conformity is, as you know, where you get one subject and then several different plants. And then on a given signal, the plants will do something and then try to induct or to encourage the subject to do that. So there is that sort of one going Ash conformity side of things, which I think is a 1950s experiment. I think that is something that we pretty much all do. It's queuing is another great aspect of the Ash conformity, when we see a queue in England, we join that queue.
That's right.
Regardless,
That's right.
almost as if we have any business joining the queue. Other people, other nations and other nationalities or whatever else, they don't really get it. They don't get it. They don't get why we queue. They don't get why we'd want to, and why we'd find a reward in that. So there is the sort of mouse with the cheese sort of in the trap. You've kind of you navigated your way through the maze, not a trap, but you've navigated your way through the maze to get the cheese. And you could really have just jumped over all the walls, you know. It's a little bit.
I know what you mean, but
how conformist you are as well.
I think we've been dumbed down from the Norman invasion of 1066 because they enslaved us, and they've done away with England basically. And you know, when people say, I mean, we was talking about this. What was it now? People say, and I mean, I don't like all this playing with words and things like that, but we're ruled by an aristocracy, and they are Norman by descent. The king is Norman.
Yeah.
He was imposed upon us. But I mean, you and I are speaking from the same song street, so to speak, because I was self-employed for a long time and freelance. And when you're a freelance, I don't know whether you're made to feel like this. When I was freelance, I was made to feel as if I was an easily expendable item, as if, oh, he's a piece of shit that's coming along that's we're paying him a lot of money to do the job, and then he can sod off. And I was often used as a scapegoat, because if a project was behind schedule, they'd employ a couple of contract blokes so they could blame it on them. I mean, have you found this being self-employed, Robert?
I'm actually not self-employed, Chris. I'm actually employed by, I'm a PAYE wage slave. But I mean, the reason I'm only doing 2 days a week is because you've heard of the acronym TWAT or TWIT, haven't you?
Yeah. No, was it? No, come on. Sorry, I'm not that.
TWAT stands for Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
Oh, yeah.
TWIT stands for Tuesdays, Wednesdays, including Thursdays. So we've got a twit that's working. She's lovely, by the way. She did my sort of training for my onboarding for me on Wednesday last when I started.
Yeah.
So she works Tuesdays to Thursdays, and I fill in the odd gap. I work on. We work tomorrow, and then I'll have a 3-day gap, and then I'm working on Friday. And providing I can make it work financially, it's catnip really. It allows me time to do other things. So it's quite the polar opposite, Chris, to what I was doing before, where I was literally 12 hours a day, all day, basically knocking my pipe out, basically. But
that wears me down.
It's incredible.
You sound a lot more relaxed.
It is. It's exhausting.
Yeah. And I think I can actually hear it in your voice. Your voice is a little bit different, because I didn't want to sound it, but I could tell there's a bit of stress in your voice last time we spoke. And I could just tell it because I thought he's wearing himself out. But it
really was, yeah.
I mean, you and I are similar age. I mean, you're probably old enough to remember there was a film in the 70s called All the President's Men. And the advert for it was a picture of I think it was a man with a key in his back, as if he was a clockwork man walking along.
Yes.
And I think in employment, that's how I felt. Like I was a clockwork man. You know, you just got wound up and you put there and you do your work, and then you run down and then you wound up again and you know. But I mean, do you have to travel very far to your place of work now, or is it local?
No, it's just in the city. It's just the other side of the Thames link for me, so it's fine. The West End was a little bit easier, but there's a different sort of stress there. It's the home of the Trustafarian, as you know, people that haven't paid tax in about 4 generations of the same family, and that literally are old Mayfairites. The ultimate in NIMBY, not in my backyard neighborhoods, you know, very much so. But it's a completely different. They're the same. It's a different species of the same animal. You've got the city file, you know, the very middle class people that live in the wilds of Essex or Hertfordshire or Surrey or Sussex and commute in, and some of the higher ups might have a flat in the city or in the West End. Either that, or they just travel in once a week, maybe for a meeting or two, and then travel out again. I think it's they're the same sort of animal. I used to think they were different, but they're just the same. For most of the week, and some don't, but they're pretty much the same sort of people. But there's a lot of old alumni where I'm working now at places I'd worked before, and to square the circle almost, it's around the corner from where I first started working in the city. It's really weird. It's connected to the same building in Fenchurch Street. It's odd, but it's a little bit like my starting for the what they call it now, the hospitality company that I worked for a couple of years. Their headquarters was in Chiswick, which is around the corner from a place called Silver Crescent, which is the first place I lived in London when I moved to London. It's amazing.
It's a lot of coincidences that happen.
But
do you actually? But do you look on? I was going to say, do you look on employment as I do, as slavery? That's basically what it is. Because quite honestly, slavery, I don't think slavery's never been. I don't think slavery has ever been abolished. It's just been redefined. Seriously,
you're quite right. Sorry, carry on, Paul.
I was going to say, well, let's put it this way. I mean, yes, I agree. I think employment is slavery. Basically, over the years, they've taxed us and given us, everything goes up in price to the point where, a family with two people now going out to work, both earning a living, and now struggling. If that's not a case where people are slaves, at the end of the day, we should all be free. And I've said this many times.
I agree.
A lot of the issues we have in this world, crime and all the rest of it, all boils down to the slave system that we're in, where some person A wants what person B's got, so they go out and thieve it. But if we were all free, we'd all be equal, and then there'd be no crime. That's the
biggest criminal is the government. No.
Ultimately, I suppose money is the biggest criminal thing, because I remember reading something years ago, but it said that the money is the biggest source of evil, and ultimately it is, isn't it? Because if money was disappeared off, we'd all be free. And that's I guess the world might be a bit different in that case, but I'm sure we'd all prefer to be free than actually working till you're 80, and then by the time you're 81, you're in your grave, and that's it, job done. You know what I mean? They've had the government or whatever it is gets the best part of all of your years.
That's right. They get the best years of your life.
Yeah. When they say sweat equity, they're not joking.
2 years free.
Well, that's right. They say there's choice, but you got to live.
My mom. I mean, like with my mom, she's in a care home and she's still paying out, but she'll be free.
Oh, bloody hell, that's a rip-off.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
I worked in a care home, but before I moved to London.
Really?
Yeah, I worked in Southend-on-Sea. I lived in Southend-on-Sea for about a year, which is where
you pronounce it wrong. Southend-on-Sea, isn't it?
Precisely.
Sorry.
South, with an ARF. Now I'm told where the soul goes to die, and everything would confirm that for me. So it was funny. It was a funny place. But when you asked earlier on, before we had that sort of interaction with Paul, you asked earlier on whether I consider slavery work to be slavery. Yes, I mean I'm reminded of Tina Turner's song "Private Dancer." You keep your eyes on the money, your mind on the money, and your eyes on the wall. So she's dancing with this guy, knowing that she's a big, fat, sweaty piece of junk, and she's just focused on the money because that's why she's there. Now we are there. We suffer. Certain people at work. Some of them are delightful. Some of them are lovely. Not very enlightened, but I mean, obviously you use a bit of litmus paper to test people. I mean, do you remember when? God rest her, when Anne Widdecombe was bumped off.
Yes.
No, I remember speaking to this one chap. I said, she's probably the last big beast of politics that I know of from my era. You know, obviously you had
That's
people like
right.
Dennis Healy, Michael Heseltine, and Michael Foot.
Eccentrics.
She's the
One of
last
the last
big beast.
That's right. We don't
But
get
I'm
eccentrics
talking
anymore.
about a heavy hitter. Yeah, a heavy hitter that's an intellectual heavy hitter as well. Now, whether you agree with it or not, and he said, well, she was rather wide. I said, no, I didn't mean that. I said, I meant that she's carried weight politically and carried weight as a politician and as a personality, like Dennis Healy, you know, like Willie Whitelaw, that era of politician, Jeremy Thorpe, those guys. And this chap, I'm pretty sure he's got more degrees than a thermometer, but it went clean over his head. And then
I know what you mean.
I slipped into chameleon mode, and then literally I said, I'm making a coffee, would you like one?
Yeah, that's the only thing. But I mean, I like what Hachi says. He says, we only work 26 weeks of the year in Tudor times. 26 years. And
Yeah,
when
but
you
did
when
Hachi mention rickets and diphtheria, teeth were falling out and stuff like that?
Oh, that's right. You know, he didn't live very long. But, you know, there is a theory. I
Yeah, he
mean, for
didn't, no.
example, when you look around the world, there's a tribe, they're up in Tibet, and they live to a ripe old age. But they live a very simple life, but they have the perfect diet. They're in a perfect environment. I can't remember their name. Somebody in chat will find it out. And
I remember hearing about this not so long ago, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's places like in Italy where people live to well over 100.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think
Japan as well. Japan.
Japan, that's right. There's something about the whatever it is. There's a line that goes around the world, which is a perfect environment for humans. And that's
I had heard that recently, actually. I had heard that recently. And anybody, it's like a health equator, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
And anybody living betwixt or between or either side of that line in a reasonable distance will benefit from it. And I think it's as much to do with the ions that are emitted from that line, the vibrations, if you want to call it that. If that doesn't sound too woo-woo, it's very reminiscent of that.
I agree with you.
But, you know, going back to the sort of chameleon, which is the kind of the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about tonight. I mean, I'm pretty sure that we could probably do a poll actually of some sort if we have it. It's a shame we didn't have Yorkshire Deb here to stick the poll up. But it would be interesting to find out how many people have actually, if compromise were a percentage, if 100% compromise would be you completely throwing up your morals and your stance on the wicked jab, the devil's jizz, you know, all that kind of stuff, and believing in the banking system, that sort of stuff. If that was 100% and 0% was where we are now, how many people would say they've gone over 50% to accommodate work and to accommodate being at work? That would be interesting, actually.
Well, you've got to be a chameleon, because if you want employment, if you want to get some, you know, get some bread, as they say, you've got to, what they say, eat humble pie, and that's true. You got to eat humble
course,
pie.
yeah.
And I got
ashes for supper. Yeah.
Well, that's right. And some offices, I mean, when you're freelance, you go into some offices and everybody gets on like a house on fire. You go into others, and it's like walking into a prison. You know, you think, bloody hell. You know, it's full of aggression. It's full of people bickering and backstabbing, and it's awful. But what I've noticed is a lot of offices where people were very childish, especially the permanent staff. They're all kind of talking, and they'll be your best friend to your face and then stab you in your back. You know, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, the thing with that,
sorry, carry on, Paul.
Is it just the workplace, or is it actually in every aspect of life? Because I can remember, I mean, I classify myself as a gentleman, so if I'm waiting for a train, for example, and there's a couple of women by, I'll let them get on first. But of course, now it's every man for himself. myself excluded.
You're
on
quite
that.
right.
But also now
You're quite
it's
right.
people's manners have also gone as well, because I was always taught that if you're waiting to board a train, for example, you let people off the train before you board it.
Yes.
But now,
Yeah.
everybody, I don't know if it's the design of modern trains or whether it's just people have got no manners at all. But
It's
they
just
all
a lack of
hover
courtesy.
around the doors, so the seats are going to vanish as soon as they step through the door, and they don't
Mm.
let people off. And
Yeah.
that also comes under the community. I bet if these people could see how they behave, if they took a step back and could see how their real person is behaving, what if they'd actually look
Mm.
and think, why am I behaving like that? It's a train. The seats on board is not going to go without me. I was at Euston a few
I
weeks ago, and the
yeah.
amount of people who were they actually put an announcement out saying, don't run. So what do people
Yeah.
do? They run. And this
Run.
bloke ran
Yeah.
past me and said, what are you running for? I said, it's not going for 10 minutes. Oh, I've got to go
Yeah.
and get a seat. There's 11 coaches.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a seat available.
I think you
And
should be
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
and
yeah,
there's bloody signs. I tell you what gets right up my ooter, and this really gets up my ooter. You go into a post office, we will not, what is it now? I can't remember the exact wording, but it is, we do not accept offensive language, blah, 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 blah. And then that works on your subconscious. You get onto public transport, it says, give this seat up for a disabled or elderly person.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really be need to tell that, because in a previous generation, in the Victorian and Edwardian times, and possibly up to about the 1960s, people would just do it naturally. You shouldn't have a sign to tell you to do it. You would do it naturally, and people do it naturally. Looking on the positive side, I've noticed that younger people do give up their seat to a disabled or elderly person. So why have they got there's signs everywhere? Do you remember that sign? I think you sent a picture, Robert, of on the tube about staring or something, or looking at something. You're not allowed to look or something at someone. What's that
it's
crap?
triggering. Yeah. There's another one. There's loads of things, and these things don't actually take place. By the way, what they are is they're positive suggestions to encourage people to do that. I think
Yes.
the social engineers are doing things like this now. It's almost like when you call up customer services now, and they said, please treat our staff the way you want to be treated.
Should
Now,
be neat
why
to tell you that.
Precisely. Why would you treat them any other way? Now, I'm terminating my agreement with Vodafone and going to a pay-as-you-go. You'd think that was simple. I phoned up and I asked the chap, when my contract ends, when is the last direct debit? And he went into a soliloquy as to the benefits of Vodafone and the way the system works and the data protection, and not the data protection, their data policy. And I said, well, whilst we're on the subject, your data policy is one thing, but does it protect me under the Data Protection Act 2018 and my rights under the GDPR? He said, yes, but we've just changed our data policy. I said, yeah, but that's not answering my question. I've just asked you, do you have a yellow Ford Capri? And you've just answered back, banana. That's basically what you've done.
Yeah.
That's what you've done. And he could not, I tell you, Paul, Chris, he couldn't fathom it at all. He could not get that. And it's almost people become automatons. And it's like that at work, and it's like that at fitting in as well. You have to become almost a cyborg to fit in some workplaces. Some workplaces are nice. Some workplaces are nice, but you have to you do have to eat humble pie, and quite large portions of it as well at times. And I just, to me, I think if I had to spend any longer in the world of work, as it were, because I like to think this is probably going to be my last year, my last couple of years of working as a sort of PAYE guy, and then I'll either do something for myself or just quit or something. I don't do something else, because I don't think my soul can stand much more of it. And it's not even being at work, it's getting to work. As soon as you cross that Mason-Dixon line, as it were, the line that takes you across into the square mile, I can feel the vibrations change. It's almost as if that organ music starts and you expect Christopher Lee to come out sneaking out, or Bela Lugosi to come out
I
sneaking
felt the
out.
same.
Dark, precisely. I don't know how many people work in the city or work in a similar financial place where they are, but I don't know if they feel the same way. But I definitely feel a difference in vibration. Definitely.
Would you
Well,
describe yourself as an empath? Because empaths, I would describe myself as one, because you pick up on things that other people wouldn't pick up on, and I can sense feelings and things like that other people wouldn't. I think you're describing yourself really as an empath, because
I would say, yeah, I'm not an empath. I'm a brummy.
No, but you know what I mean. You can pick up on
I know what you mean.
on atmospheres that other people,
Yeah.
because you're finely tuned into things. I think I don't wish to sound rude, but I think you are, Paul, as well. I think you're probably.
I'm an empath. I take
Doing
on.
Yeah.
I take on other people's feelings.
Yeah,
In the
I
respect, I've always been good at listening to people. So if people have got an issue, they can talk to me, and I tend to take on their feelings, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I
Whether I'm
don't go
actually
quite that
absorbing it
far.
from them and making them feel better, and I'm just basically getting rid of it, I don't know. But it's interesting you were saying about the vibration and the feelings in London, because I was down in London 3 weeks ago, and I initially started off at Warren Street, and my head was absolutely pounding when I was there.
Oh yeah.
And then I
It'll
got
do
the
that to
underground
you.
down from Warren Street to Brixton, and Brixton's all old world buildings, and
Yeah.
the head pressure disappeared off as soon as I got off that tube in Brixton. Walked down the street, take a few pictures, the head pressure had gone. So whether it's the buildings that change how you feel, because obviously with Brixton being all old world buildings, it was a completely
Yeah.
different atmosphere. It was really it was a
It might
strange
also
experience.
have something to do with the proliferation of ganja down there as well in Brixton. That would have helped.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you didn't get the munchies when you were coming back. But in
I saw
terms of
dragons
empath,
and all
Chris,
sorts running down the street. Was that normal?
I can imagine. Everybody's got an antenna, so in a sense, everybody's an empath. Whether we're an empath to the degree of Paul, or maybe somebody like Deb, who really is a very, very spiritual being in that sense. She really does plug in to people's vibration feelings. I've got an antenna, but I think I don't know. I think I can sense imminent danger, but then again, most people can. But I do get a sense of threat, if you like, before it comes up, and I find out when things aren't right for me and aren't going to suit me. There are times when I remember I was interviewing, this was years ago, I was interviewing for quite a big city law firm. It was Hogan Lovell, or Morgan Hogan Lovell, I think they were called at the time, or Lovells. Anyway, I arrived on time, and the chap that was interviewing me was late by 15 minutes. So I sat down and shook hands and blah, blah, blah. And I looked at my wristwatch. He goes, "Oh, have you got to be somewhere?" I said, "Well, I will in 15 minutes. I said, "Because you're late." I said, "Can you tell me why you were late?" I said, "I'm in your building." And he said, well, that's a very strange way to start an interview. I said, "No, a stranger way to start an interview is being late. That's the strangest way if you're the host. Especially if you had to make it in from somewhere, I get it, but you're in the office. You could have sent down a message to reception, tell that chap we're going to be late, tell him to have a Coke and a smile, or jog around the block for half an hour and come back. You could have done that, but instead you didn't mention it." And he said, well, to be honest with you, he said, we're very busy here. I said, "Look, I don't want to be funny. Thanks for the 15 minutes you've given me, but this is not really a place I want to work." And I actually walked out.
Good for you.
Now, the chap that was the agent that was pitching me for the job was waiting at it. This is how long ago it was. This wasn't even a Starbucks. This was a Seattle coffee company store. This was before Starbucks bought them out. Anyway, he was sitting there waiting for me. Mind you, you finished early. So, oh my God, what happened? I told him they were late. And he said, oh, right, never phoned me again, by the way. I might as well have had the bubonic plague. Every time I tried to get him on the phone, he would always be in a meeting. And I thought, well, that's agents personally that you don't in their commission. I get that. But what you also have to do is look after your other client, which is me. You've got the client that pays the money and the client that supplies the raw material that gets you the money, which is your candidate. So I just said, I can't take that. So the guy was a bit smug as well. And I just thought, no, this is just not right. I'm not going to enjoy working here. I don't care how much you pay. I'm not going to enjoy working here. And off I went. So
good for you.
Yeah,
I went to an architect's in the city once. There's a city architect, and it's the weirdest place. It was like a shop front where you looked in, you could see all the drawing boards. I thought, that's a bit weird. So people walking past could sort of look in and say, "Oh, was someone drawing up something there?" Which I've never seen. Anyway, I was always early, always punctual. So I went in for an interview. And when I went in, I went to the reception. I said, "Oh, excuse me," and I told them. And right from the back of the office, I got someone shout out, "You're effing early."
Jesus.
You're effing early. And I thought, now I was pretty desperate for the work because there wasn't much work at that time.
Okay.
And then this character comes along. Okay, follow me. So I walked upstairs with him. And I should have walked out at that point. And he said, "You've got to hit the deck running." Now, when you hear that, you know it's a sweatshop. You've got to hit the deck running. Oh, okay. And then he showed me the drawings. He said, "Right, I want you to look through these drawings now, get a good idea in case we hire you." So I thought, well, I'm not going to spend half an hour of my time looking through these drawings in case they hire me. So I said, "Goodbye. I don't do work for free," and walked out.
Good.
And
Absolutely.
and that was it. But I mean, what a thing to do, to shout across the office. And there was young people there were students. You're effing early.
Yeah.
You know, never even didn't know who I was, never met me in my life. And I couldn't believe it. But horrible place, absolutely vile place. You could sense the stress of people working there.
Clearly somebody who doesn't fear the consequences as well. Now, again, circling back to the subject, the chameleon side of things, there are people that are like that, and that they will bully new people as well. I've been in a situation like that, and in order to really bend over backwards, bending myself almost into a pretzel to fit in, just to keep the job, and it's not the job, it's the income. Yeah, it's the income.
I've had that loads of times, and you dread Monday mornings. You dread going in.
Of course,
It's like walking into Vietnam War every morning. And the thing that gets me is that with this sort of chameleons is that I think that sometimes if you're polite, and I was always polite, I was always brought up as you were. I was brought up strict Victorian to always be polite to people. And I think, and I was talking to Helen about this, and we're going to do a show about it. And she was saying that people that are demonically possessed, these demons play games with you. And I worked with a bloke who was arrogant to every polite person. But there's a straight talking northerner there. And there was a straight talking Cockney there. And he was as good as nice as pie to them. But to me, arrogant. And I found that, and I don't know whether you found this, Paul or Robert, have you found that sort of arrogance come across from some people, that if you're polite, they will use your politeness to make themselves feel good?
It certainly shows a sign of weakness, I think,
Yeah. Worked where I am now. I worked for 18 years in a stationery company. And it was a great place to work. But in the 12 months before I put in speech mark, I was dismissed, but I wasn't. They basically, bullying was consistent in this place. They put that much work onto people that it was impossible to catch up. You're always chasing your tail with the work.
Yeah.
And when it was brought up in meetings and said, this doesn't work, the way we're doing this, it doesn't work. Oh, well, that's the way we do it. And it got to a point where I went off sick with stress.
Yeah.
I was off
Jesus.
for 12 months or more.
Holy shit.
But it was one of those where, as you were saying, Chris, that I dreaded Monday morning.
Yeah.
And I'd wake up in the night and feel nervous. I'm not like that anymore. I'd never let any work ever get me to that point ever again. But how I was at that point, obviously I was a lot younger than I am now, and yeah, it was not a good time in my life. But
I know what you mean.
they dismissed me, and then I got a load of money off them. So I don't mean through
Really?
a tribunal. I mean they gave me some money, which
Guilt.
is a bit strange, but they did. So yeah,
Guilt by
I
the sounds of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Paul,
paid off.
This was consistent in the. I mean, there's people who still work at this place, but there was other people who I knew who were on my team or on the team I was on, and I knew that when I was taken out, you would say, I knew who would be the next individual they'd target, and I was right, and it was that next person that got the same treatment as I did. So yeah,
Jesus.
if your face doesn't
Do you
fit,
reckon?
it-
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. Your face has got to fit. If your face don't fit, doesn't matter what happens. You won't.
Do you reckon that there are clearly people that are possessed in a manner of speaking, or literally possessed by some internal demons or whatever else? I mean, I wonder how commonplace it is in your average workplace that people have got that are deeply seated in that part of the dark triad, psychopathy, the narcissism, that sort of thing. I wonder how many people there are in terms of that sort of aspect of your personality, or of a personality, having that possession that forces them to become evil and obstructive and aggressive and non-cooperative, I guess. I mean, I wonder how many there are.
And the thing is, where does it start? Because, and this might sound a bit petty, I suppose, but there's people in the office where I am now who you see they're in the office the same days as I'm in, for example, and a lot of other people, and they walk in, they don't speak to anybody, they sit down, they do their work, and they go home. They don't speak to anybody. Are they possessed? Are they an NPC? Maybe they can't even see us? I've said this before.
Or perhaps
the amount of
they've
times I've
mastered
had
it.
when I've walked to or from work, and I mean, I rarely see anybody now. But when I used to, I think the population is diminishing all the time. But I've had people where they've literally walked past me, shoulder to shoulder, and it's as though they can't see you, as though they're an NPC.
I've had one like that. This is what I was talking about earlier. My nickname for him was Biffo, because do you remember Biffo the bear was it the Dandy or the Beano?
Yeah.
He looked just like Biffo the bear, this bloke.
Yeah.
And his face, I can't remember whether he had one eye or not, but when he joined, he was contract as well as myself, and he was the new person goes around the office, and this is, I can't remember his name, whatever, and this bloke, he had his great big beer guts, absolutely enormous beer guts, and walked around, and his face, he looked like a heart attack waiting to happen, you know what I mean? And that's right, yeah. And he, the bloke in front, I said, "Oh, this is such and such a bloke. Oh, hello, pleased to meet you." And then when he went to this polite chap who's sort of just behind me, he never said a word to him. Just, and then when he came to me, he didn't say a word to me. Just not sort of hello, pleased to meet you, or anything like that, or any politeness. Anyway. This chap, he was really, really weird. And when I say weird, he would very economical with what he said. He wouldn't say very much. He was very one word instead of two. And I some unknown reason, local people were at the office. There was about 20 people. And it's just me and him.
Can't really hear much at the moment, Chris.
You still there?
I can hear you now.
There was just two of us in the office, and the entire day he didn't say a word. He came over to my drawing board, and he just grabbed hold of one of my drawing instruments and walked away with it. I said, "Oh, where are you going with that?" So he then threw it on the floor and carried on as if I'd said something bad to him. He was just arrogant all the way through. And when I went to the loo, when I come back, I noticed my adjustable set square, the thread had gone on it. Somebody had done something to damage it. And that there's only one person in the office. And it was something, weird things happened with this character. And he was just, he wouldn't say a word. And lunchtimes, we would go, I mean, this was in the countryside where I worked. We'd go up to the local inn, and I'm not a boozer, but we'd have our meal there. And I got in my car, and suddenly he comes along, opens the door, and sits beside me. So another person was going to get in, and he sort of edged him out of the way. I said, "Sorry, what's going on?" Never said a word. I said, "So I haven't offered for you to, to give you a lift." He got out, just didn't say a word. Another person got in who I did offer to give a lift to, and because I only had a 2-seater saloon at that time. And this chap, he didn't say a word. It was embarrassing, but he found his tongue when he needed to. And his daughter worked at the same place, and she was completely opposite to him. She's talkative. And she said, "Oh, take no notice of my dad." She said, "This is why I never want to get married, because I don't want to live in a house like my parents." She said, because he frustrated someone years ago so much. He used to work in a holiday camp when he first started work, this chap. And because he wouldn't speak, someone landed him one. And I think they either they disfigured his face anyway, or did something to him. And she said he frustrates people so much that they're often aggressive to him. But he said, but he only does it to some people that he turns an instant dislike to. And she said, unfortunately, he's turned an instant dislike to you even before he even spoke to you.
Jesus.
So, yeah, and that's what he was like. He was a mental case, this bloke.
Well, the thing is with that, Chris, it makes you wonder if he was, and obviously I've never met the chap, but if he was a heavy drinker, it could be that the spirits in the alcohol changed his persona, if that's the right word with you.
Yeah.
I know someone's asking the question about NPCs.
Yeah,
as well.
I saw that as well.
To me, it's people to me that just they're not there. They're physically there in body, but that's it. They walk past you and they're just completely blank. They don't even notice you.
Demonically possessed.
And yet other people do see you and so on. Yeah.
Well, Chili Tasker Chili Tasker just said, "I recently got a job at a hospice. At the training day, someone recognised my name and basically discriminated me because of my radio and some supposed beliefs. They retracted my offer." That's unbelievable. Yes, because someone else that happened. What about Ben? Ben, who was a hospital porter. He was a very good hospital porter, but because of his beliefs with the New World Order and things like that, he got the order of the boat. So
how did they know about his beliefs, though?
We'd have to ask him about that. I think, I'm not sure, but I think because he was on the internet a lot, I think, and I could be wrong, they found out from the internet. I think. I don't know. But
actually, Chris, that's one thing I want to mention. Actually, internet. One of the things I asked this new job is for the address of all my social media things, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever else. Yes, because their reason is because they wanted to integrate me into the blah 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 way of doing things and link me with the company. Now, as it is, my LinkedIn title is anarcho-heretic, right? And I said, before you judge, look it up. look up the proper meaning.
Yeah.
That's what I put. I used to have Factotum and Firestarter on it before, but I left that because I don't really have a job title as such. It is the job title is whatever they ask you to do, if you see what I mean. So I mean, when I was at that big insurance company, Chris, before I got made redundant, just when the big C happened. Do you remember the people at my work were asked to wear face masks and asked to have
that old crap, yeah.
and have the what's his name tests, what they call the damn thing test where they stick the thing.
QVR.
Yeah.
QVR.
Now,
yeah.
Now I refused to have that because they wanted you to have it every week. So I said I'm not coming back until this is lifted. So I didn't come back, and there was one chap who's actually since moved to another company now. He wanted, it was an American company, and they used to have some really good jolly ups. I called them jolly ups. They called them business trips. He wanted to go to Louisiana or something like that, or Tennessee or somewhere like that for work, and for which he'd have to have the jab. He asked me, he kind of pulled me aside one day in the little area where I worked, just behind reception. And he said, "Can I ask you a question? You seem to be kind of clued up about these things," he said. And he said, "What's your position on having jab?" I said, "Why are you asking? Why are you asking me?" He said, "Well, I'm thinking of having it." I said, "Well, you shouldn't need to ask me." I said, "Do your research. You're a smart guy. You went to university. They taught you how to analyze things. Analyze. But if the caveat here is if you've got nations that couldn't agree what colour the sky was previous to this, all singing off the same hymn sheet, that should tell you something." And I left it at that. He still went along and had other jabs. I think he's jabbed up to the nipples now, this guy, or to the nostrils, this chap. But anyway, long story short, he wanted to. It's almost as if they wanted your sanction as this rebel, if you like. And I don't particularly class myself as being rebellious. I just did not want to. I just didn't want to comply to that. It just felt wrong to me. And everybody else was wearing. There was a guy we called him Timmy Two Masks because he wore two masks. His name was Tim.
Oh my godfathers! And do you know that?
Yeah.
Do you know that causes really, and that causes bacterial pneumonia?
Yeah, of course.
Which they said was the COVID crap.
Precisely.
And there's people still walking around. I mean, I went into the local supermarket the other day, and there's a shelf packer that's always wearing a filthy, grimy mask.
I go and I cough all over those people. I do.
I mean, well, actually, during that lockdown time, I used to enjoy going to the end of a queue, cough the guts up, and getting to the front of the queue pretty quick.
Yes.
The thing that gets me, I mean, I actually think this is going on to a more broader sense that the whole world is in on things, especially wars, because they want to reduce the population. Because isn't it strange how that, shall we say, William's toxic arm brew went all the way around the world? Yeah. I'm not sure about North Korea, but there was only one place. Where was it now? An African country where the bloke rebelled, and he was, shall we say,
was it Zambia or something like that? Zimbabwe or something like that.
I can't remember. It was John Magufuli, though. I know that was what his name was.
Yeah, I remember that when that's it.
Concord, didn't he?
That's right. Where was it? Tanzania. Yeah. And and I always believe that if you look into someone's eyes, they're the windows to their soul.
Of course.
And you look into generally politicians, especially Tony Blair's, and they're dead. This fella, he just had something about him. You looked and you thought, yeah, he's okay. And he died. I think he died of a heart attack, in inverted commas. Yes, and guess who was shifted into his... It could have been.
Was he in a bathtub or a doorknob or something like that? Because that's the usual with the drugs overdose.
Yeah.
or he likes swimming with concrete boots on, that sort of thing,
Yes.
probably. But the thing that gets me is that I actually think with all these wars that the whole world is in on it. I really do believe it, because did you know, I found this out the other day, Iran was an ally of Israel, and in 1981 they did a joint exercise where they bombed Iraq with the Israeli Air Force. Now, isn't that strange? They were allies in the
Yeah. It would figure
1980s.
though, because
Why?
they are they're Semitic peoples, aren't they? Both sets of people are
Yes.
Semitic people.
Well, yes and no, because I don't really want to go too deeply into this, but Benjamin Nitty Nutty Knickers, he's not Semitic because his lot come from Ukraine.
Right.
And they're not of the Semitic race. So to call, them anti-Semolina, or if you're accused of being anti-Semolina or antiseptic, whatever it is, you want to be, then they're not of that race. So, I mean, it's a bit like sort of, I don't know, saying, I don't know, look at that bastard from Ireland and he's from Italy. Chat to an Italian, so you bloody Irish people. No, I'm Italian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just bonkers. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things. But I actually think the whole world is in on it. I really do believe it. And
Oh,
I
they are,
think these
aren't they?
wars
There was
are like a
certain-
pantomime.
They have to be, because they're all the majority of the countries are owned by the same ultimate puppets. So I guess most countries will have a Rothschild bank in it, and it's them that own the countries that those banks sit in. It's only the ones that, like Moscow. I don't think Russia has. I think Russia kicked them out, as far as I understand, which is perhaps why Putin and the Russians are deemed as the bad guys. But clearly, they're not the bad guys because they did the right thing.
Yeah, but you have to have a boogeyman, and basically it's the left cheek of the same arse, basically.
You're right.
So literally, what Chris says holds. Chris, when you say the whole world, you mean the ruling sectors of the whole world, don't you? You can't possibly mean people like Matilda and Hatchie Hatchie and Blu-ray.
Oh no! I'm talking about the psychopath usury scammers.
Right.
They're the ones that go behind closed doors and say, right, who's going to be the enemy next week? That's the ones that gets me.
Yeah.
Because
it is choreographed somewhat, isn't it?
Well, you look at the First World War. Perfect example is the First World War. That was a massive genocide. It was a cull of the male population like we've never seen before. It was just waves and waves of men just walking into gunfire. That's all it was, and horrendous. I mean, if you go to France, there's fields and fields and fields of crosses, and you just think, well, hang on a moment. Now, I think that the Second World War came along not as it was planned. I don't think they planned to go to Germany, but they did. And then when you look at things like Vietnam, now I'm hoping to get a Vietnam veteran on soon, and he noticed that he was a what they call a grunt. He was right at the front at the sharp
infantry.
That's right, infantry. And he said he noticed some very, very strange things going on, where they could have had it licked in no time at all.
Yeah.
But it was very, very strange, and it was known as a sustainable war. Now, where have you heard that word sustainable? They come out with this is sustainable, a sustainable war. And they were bombing the crap out of North Vietnam. Now, you look at Vietnam today, there's Americans that retire there. You can go there. And it's probably, you've got more freedom of speech in Vietnam than you have over here. Probably.
Yes. Yeah. It's somebody said it's not important that the experiment comes to a conclusion. It's important that the experiment, and this is what war is like. Now, I think we've been at a constant state of, I think Paul might agree as well, we've been in a constant state of war for over 100 years. Well over 100 years.
Well, 100%.
Yeah, the theatre changes, the order, the theatres change, the ordinance change. So the next war we're going to have is an information war. And I think it's going to be driven by AI, which I think is the new fool's gold. That is the new cryptocurrency where everybody goes crazy over it. Now, everything's AI, by the way. Now I asked AI to find out exactly when I lived at a certain address in Birmingham. I lived in King's Heath. I had a house there. I wanted, because I couldn't for the life rates. I know I had my mortgage with Birmingham Midshires, so I thought, let me do a little test. They just gave me the current resident there, the current person that was registered on the land registry. Now, I could have done that, but AI is supposed to be, we've been miseducated into thinking that this, and it's artificial, that's the key word, not the intelligence. The artificial side is the key word. Some people might come up with some great things with it. There are people that are trying to set up businesses. There's a guy, Checkmate the Matrix, Peter Wilson, the Geordie brother, the bald fella. He's setting up businesses with AI now. And you think, hang on, you, above everybody else, should really proceed with caution when it comes to this. Because this guy lost almost everything, this chap did. He had to rebuild. So I just think it's fool's gold. And that is basically prominent all over the working space now. You've got people reading CVs with AI. You're setting your CV with AI. You're asking questions. These are people that are, let's say, insurance and claims professionals that have been doing the job for 30, 40 years, asking AI something that they know already. We're losing skills as well. I mean, Paul will bear this out as well. We're losing skills at a rapid rate. Things like map reading, things like changing tires, all that kind of, we're losing these things at a rapid rate. And if we're not careful, we are going to be like the Eloi. If anybody's ever read H.G. Wells' The Time Traveller, we're going to be like the Eloi that just frolic and play all day and eat these big, fat, massive fruits and then end up getting eaten by Morlocks at night if we're not careful. We're basically going to end up. It's if anybody's ever read the Screwtape Letters, where the brief synopsis is the Screwtape Letters is written in a third-person narrative where the person doing the narration is observing a conversation between a senior tempter, an emissary of the devil, and his nephew who's just being trained to do it. Now, he regards the human beings as food. That's exactly what he says in this. If anybody's, people lack their patience to read it, and I must admit I did until I forced myself. So I've really gotten out of the habit of reading. That's another skill that's going if we're not careful. Picking up a book and reading. I know
and writing as well. And writing. Yes, and people are not writing anymore.
Longhand writing. Anyway, there's a really good narration of it available on YouTube by John Cleese, and it's absolutely brilliant, by the way. So I urge everybody to kind of have a listen to that. Load it up to your phone and then just listen to it on your drive to work, on your journey to work. It's excellent. And he's brilliant at it as well. He is good, John Cleese. Probably part of the MI6 control system anyway, but he's great.
The thing is, what you're saying there, Rob, is correct. That the skills are being lost in every aspect of it, and some of it's done in a subtle way.
Yes.
So, like for example, even just a simple thing like doing up shoelaces.
Oh yeah.
If you go into some like Skechers now, you can buy shoes with where you don't even have to do the laces up. You just they've got laces in, but they're rubberized, so you just put your foot in like it's a normal slip-on.
Precisely.
And it's even just simple things like that are going to be lost, and like you say, the amount of skills that have gone.
Yeah.
I know I've gone about trains a lot, but the skills involved with mechanics. I know Chris and I talk about cars, and I talk about buses a lot. Yeah. If I go back to the 80s and 90s, or even to the late 90s, if you had a problem with a bus, for example, a mechanic would turn up in a van, and he'd look at it and he'd say, "This is what the problem, and I know what to do. Just do this, and it works."
Yeah.
But now that skill has been lost because either they've been replaced with electric vehicles, so a mechanic isn't needed, and an electrician is now needed rather than a mechanic.
Yeah.
or they have to take a laptop to the bus, plug it into the dashboard or whatever it is, for the bus then to tell the engineer what's wrong with it.
Absolutely.
But that skill would have been there years ago. They'd have just gone,
Well,
okay, this is the problem with it. We'll take the garage and sort it out. Piece of piddle.
well, I'm the only
And it's
person.
every aspect of life.
I'm the only person where I live that services my own cars. Nobody else does. I'm the only
Brilliant.
one
That's
that does it.
fantastic.
And I
Yeah,
mean,
you
I've
must
got
be
two old
regarded as a
cars.
freak. Yeah, you must be regarded as a freak, Chris.
Oh, that's right. I mean, you go to places like an old church or an abbey, and you just look at the love and the skill that those people, I mean, they must have enjoyed what they're doing, what those stonemasons did to create such beautiful structures.
Yeah.
And you look at the basic shit that they're putting up today.
Yeah.
But it's like what I was saying on the last show. Imagine the Isle of Wight struck oil, and the residents, the good people of Isle of Wight, thought, well, hang on a minute. We don't want a government started shall we say, everybody declared independence on the Isle of Wight to Great Britain and said, sod off, we don't need you. We don't need your taxes. We've got lots of oil. We're going to be multimillionaires. Sod off. Can you imagine the propaganda that the government would have against this, whatever it is that was ruling the Isle of Wight? They had to make out there's bodies being washed up on the shore of Portsmouth because it's such a bad regime. And someone mentioned that, they throw gays off of high-rise buildings. What else? Isle of Wight people, they marry 6-year-olds. Yeah, that's another one. And they would be pumping it out, like it's nothing before, because people would believe it. They really would. They'd believe it. They say, oh, I'm not going to the Isle of Wight. Oh, do you know what they do? They throw people off of buildings, And they would.
Yeah, I mean, either that or they just annex it. If it had oil, they would just annex it. I mean, look at what the CIA and MI6 did to Iran in the 50s. They literally just grabbed it. They just snatched that shit. They snatched that. They fomented a coup. They got rid of Mossadegh, and that was it, really. The rest is history.
Well, look at Nigeria. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, look at Nigeria. Now, Nigeria should be the richest country in Africa. I mean, it's got loads of oil.
Yeah.
Yet there's a lot of poverty there. And funny enough, talking about that, there used to be a truth group I went to. There was a Nigerian bloke who was born here, whose relatives still live in Nigeria. And he said something good about the old jibby jabby jab jabs. He said that in Nigeria, it's the snobby and the posh people that get in to have their jibby jabby jab jabs. And the average person on the street doesn't trust the government, so they're not having it done.
Yeah, I don't blame him. And
he said, it's the other way around in this. But really, when you look at like YouTube, I was looking at someone in China, and we're told a lot of stuff about they've got facial recognition and things like that. But where this character was, and he's Chinese, of course, speak English, like Irish. Sorry, I'm taking the pee a bit. You see loads of people along the street. It's a bit like India, where you got some bloke doing a hairdressing, someone else doing massaging, someone else doing something else. But they're all earning a living, and they all seem rather happy. I don't know how many. I said a very small window I'm looking through from his bloke's camera. Yeah.
But that's what our news and stuff does, doesn't it? It portrays a picture of parts where we've not been. They describe China as being this dictatorial place that's really strict, but that's only their word, and it doesn't. And to be honest, given what I understand about the news now, it's full bullshit anyway, and it's probably the opposite of what they're telling us. But I was thinking about what you were saying a minute ago about war as well, Robert, that we are, I suppose technically we've never ever been out of a war, really, have you? Have we really?
No, we haven't.
When you think about it, it might not be bombs dropping left, right and centre, but they are still attacking us in many different ways, through music, through TV programs, through travelling on trains. It doesn't matter what aspect of life you look at, it's all being attacked, and especially the attack on the family. The family unit is the biggest target at the moment. They're trying to break up, and they're succeeding.
Of
a
course
lot
they
of
are.
different things like the smartphones, games.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder how
Mhm.
many families right now actually sit down and have a meal together. I'd
I
imagine.
would
I
say
reckon.
less than 2%.
Yeah,
I
I was going
agree.
to say about that. Yeah.
Well, they broke
Yeah.
the family unit up, haven't they? I mean,
Yeah.
let's face it. But I mean, like
Yeah.
what Jolly Man said, he says, "Have you seen the architecture in North Korea? West want to destroy it." Well, yeah. So, but that was it. Our dear gracious leaders, all pictures of. They always have statues. These, I mean, I'm saying it's a dictatorship. It probably is. Of
Yeah.
their dear gracious leaders, hailing a taxi, aren't they? You know, they're always like this, hailing a taxi. I don't quite know why, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Lenin. Why every go look
Yeah.
around the former Soviet
Yeah.
Union? There he is, as Lenin hailing a taxi. You know, but but this is the thing. This is what we're probably going to be talking about tomorrow night, and that is government. Do we need them? Because I think they are. That is the problem. Folks can organise their lives
Yeah.
quite happily on their own. It's bloody governments. And I know it sounds a bit like Monty Python, but what has the government ever done with that for us, apart
Yeah.
from
Tax, death, and
extra
taxes. Yeah.
taxes to pay the usury scam? And that's all
Well,
it is.
there is that instance in the recent history of Belgium, where they could decide on a government, and I think that the government was out for 6 months or something like that. There was no standing government in Belgium, and nothing
Really?
changed. Nothing changed. Nothing.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's
The
it.
civil servants just put everything on autopilot, and nothing changed. So that would lead me to think we've got enough smart people in this country, and a lot of them work in the civil service, for good or for bad, you know. But that doesn't affect their mental capacity. I mean, these people know their jobs, and if their job is to run an infrastructure of some sort, and they've been doing it for years, leave them to it. But just get these guys out of. Somebody said they should get the Palace of Westminster and make it into a giant Weatherspoons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it already is. Like, do you know it's a subsidised? Did you know that most of the MPs shall we say, pickle most of the day because
Of course.
it's a
Yeah.
subsidised bar. And have you seen the
Yeah.
prices of what they have to pay for a meal?
Mm.
I mean, it's sort of like 1960s prices.
It's
Dirt
ridiculous.
cheap,
See
Yeah.
if that was
subsidised.
see if that was me, I'd turn the House of Parliament into a sewage farm. Because I mean, let's be honest, it's been dishing out shit for years, so
That's
they wouldn't have
right.
to do much to it, would they?
No.
Where I worked in Mayfair, it was just behind Berkeley Square, which is basically where a lot of the hedge funds are, capital management, you know, those sorts of big independent hedge funds. I used to see a lot of politicians basically slithering backwards and forwards. I did see Liz Truss get into a chauffeur-driven Land Rover with two big, hefty ex-Royal Marine types with a head like a television set.
I know what you mean.
No neck, but there was a little, the little curly wire going up to their ear. And
That's
they were
right.
talking into their
And a strange lump under their jacket. You wonder what that could be. You know,
these guys were armed. They were armed. You could tell they were armed.
Yeah.
And but apparently, I found out the other day that if you are a prime minister or an upper level cabinet minister, home secretary, etc., you have a bodyguard and a pension for life. So even when you come out of it, you have the purse, the crown, or apparently the crown, but it's the public purse pay for this, I'm sure. They pay for your bodyguard. So if you're a prime minister, you have two. And if you're a home secretary, you have one.
Good heavens.
Well, how that works. I mean,
yeah, go on.
I mean, if like for example, the Prime Minister, obviously not star, but go with someone who's got a bit of character. So if Mr. and Mrs. Prime Minister are going out for a romantic meal, for example,
Mhm.
and then sort of going back home and doing the dirty in the bedroom, One of the bodyguards still standing by. Look, Bob, will you piss off? We're trying to have a meal here.
Yeah, they may be well, knowing these people, they may be asked to participate. You never know. But in terms of
it just imagine them on their mobile phone. You're going
in terms of that,
the springs.
yeah, but in terms of that, we shouldn't wonder why our taxes are so high. Why our taxes are 40% in some cases, maybe even higher. I mean, 40%, and then on top of that, you've got the stealth tax of inflation, the stealth tax of national insurance, which I don't know how many people here use the NHS. I don't. But
I avoid it.
The NHS now stands as sentinel. Even if you have private medical care, you have to go through your GP to get a referral. I didn't know until the other day the GP gets a backhander for the referral. They get 10 or 15 quid for a referral.
Well, I've got a tenner for every jippy jabby they gave out.
Precisely. So if you've fallen over and you've torn your cruciate ligament and you know it's a cruciate, you're hobbling around and you say, listen, I gotta go and see an orthopedic surgeon. I've got problems with my knee. I think it's an anterior cruciate ligament. They'll poke around, confirm it, then look on the list for your chosen consultant, and then you go from there. But they get money for it. So it's like politicians double and triple dipping into things, with the expenses round and this kind of thing. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I was speaking to a friend of mine who's resisting some scurrilous credit card payment sort of demands, and he wrote to, I think it was Barclaycard. He wrote to them and asked, it's been 6 months, you should have been paid out, the insurance should have been paid out now for this. But you are still thinking of selling my data to a reclamation company, a debt company. So you're breaking the law there. And they richly wrote back saying, we can't speak to you now because your debt has been passed to XYZ. And he wrote back and said, passed to whom? Passed to, given to, sold to, or what? Have you allocated this debt? What documentation have you got? And literally, they can kill you with silence by just not answering. We can't do the same. If we don't answer questions or whatever else, as it comes, what will happen is we'll get a knock on the door eventually from some big fat bloke with a Hyundai and a what's his name, and an iPad, who said, we've got this seizure order or whatever it's called. What was it now? Something of goods.
Away.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So we've got that. Obviously, you're going to tell him to Foxtrot Oscar, aren't you? But the problem is most people don't know that. Most people that don't know that there is. Have you ever heard of David Edelman, Chris?
The name rings a bell. It does ring a bell, but
the people's lawyer.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, have you heard of him before?
The name rings a bell.
Well, he goes by the name of the people's lawyer. He's a qualified lawyer. He became a solicitor by studying law at Cambridge or Oxford, one of the two. And he's written a book as well called School No Place for Children. I don't know if the chat will have heard of him. Great guy. We should probably try and get him on the show one time, Chris.
Yeah, that would
He's
be nice.
a really great guy. He actually said there is something called the Castle Principle. I think the chat must have heard of this. Somebody in the chat would have heard of it. Maybe Hatchie or Matilda or Alicia or somebody like that would have, Alice, would have heard of this, I think. Now, the Castle Principle goes by the premise that an Englishman or lady's home is their castle, and you are not allowed to broach those things without a warrant from.
That's right.
And it has to be signed by a judge. Anything else is bluff and bluster. If they try to come into even the coppers, they're not allowed to do that.
That's right. And also, if they want to speak to you, keep them at the door. Don't ask them in. Don't be nice. Don't be polite.
What I do, Chris, is I slip notes on the door. I slip a pencil and paper with a blank sheet on that, and I slip a note. please write on the reverse of this. I can't talk. I'm too nervous. And slip the note under the door for them to write back to me, and then soon get pissed off. But I mean, that's just been my fantasy. But in terms of
That's a good idea.
It's this indoctrination that it comes out again, circling back to the original topic. It circles back to work. You're indoctrinated. You're almost sort of inculcated is the right word. Co-opted. That's it. You're almost co-opted into these little cells at work. The girls in HR, the girls in the typing pool, the guys in claims, the guys, the underwriters. There's sort of those oi boys that play golf at the weekend and that all live out in Essex. Those types, you know. You're co-opted into one of these circles. Either that or you're persona non grata. If you've been there a long time, you said that earlier on, Paul. You said that you had a lady or a gentleman that just didn't speak to anybody, came in, did their work, got their head down, and then when the bell rang, they were gone. Now, perhaps they've cracked the formula. Perhaps they've cracked the formula. The formula of surviving in the average workplace, the average corporate environment where you're dodging these minefields. Perhaps they had the map to the minefield all along, and perhaps they knew, well, I'm not stepping on that. I'm not stepping on that. I'm doing this, and I'm going to do my work. I'm going to, chew my food with my mouth closed, not slurp my drink at lunchtime, and make sure I just leave on time.
But if it wasn't for work,
But then it doesn't cost them anything to say good day or good morning or hi or goodbye or piss off or at least it's an acknowledgement, whatever they.
Well, they didn't say anything. Paul, is that what you're saying? They didn't say anything at all.
Yeah, it's like they're on mute.
Yeah.
Well,
I've worked with them.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think it's maybe they fear the reaction of what they might say, however innocuous it might be, because workplaces can be like that. We all know that. There can be hypersensitive people there. There's what's his name? There's the mime artist, the violent mime artist that Chris used to work with. That guy that would have a penchant for sitting in his car and taking his drawing implements.
Biffo the bear.
All sorts of strange people, and you wonder how they get these jobs and how they retain them as well.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. It was a mystery to me how he got the job, how he retained it. I mean, when you're freelance, you've got to have a bit of a personality because of course you'll do about 2 or 3 contracts. Well, you probably do more projects in a couple of years than most people are doing their lifetime if they're permanent. And this is the thing that got me. But I actually think that this chap, he had serious problems. You just don't know what was going on in his head. But I think that's why they call booze spirits. He had nasty spirits inside him in more ways than one. But when you think about it, the people that you work with, would you choose to be with them in your everyday life? The answer is probably no. Because outside the work environment, you'd have nothing in common with them, nothing at all.
Absolutely not. Now, I've got some of my leaving cards here, which was very nice. I mean, and there are people that genuinely enjoyed my company, and they're thinking, shit, who am I going to talk to now? Because you can also be a safety valve for people that want to dip their toe into a little bit of conspiracy every once in a while, or want to speak about something edgy, and they say, well, let me go to Paul, let me go to Chris, let me go to Hatchie. They know what we're talking about. So Hatchie said, I have to shut my mouth in the way I want. Good for you, girl. The thing about it is that's just what I was saying. Now, the people that wouldn't want Hatchie to shut her mouth would probably go to her and say, can I have a quick word with you about something? Oh, you don't know, what do you think about such and such? Have you ever heard of Flat Earth? Have you ever heard of Tartaria? Because I read something about it, and I thought perhaps you might know. And then that's the little lever to kind of open the door in conversation. And then perhaps you can get co-conspirators and fellow Confederates. But one of the things that one of the things, it's like when that guy approached me about getting the jab because he could go to the States. I left him in no uncertain terms that the choice is his, but it has to be an informed choice. It can't just be being swept along by the tide. It can't just be just going along to get along for a quiet life, because you might end up having no life at the end. There's a couple of guys that died, and I'm convinced it was as a result of having the devil's semen jabbed into them. I really do. The devil's jizz. I really, really do think it's that. Now, a lot of people, it's this unspoken thing, Chris and Paul. It's the unspoken thing where they know it's that. There's one girl that had, lovely girl as well, and she's a gymnast, and her daughter's she's a gymnast when she was, I think she represented Essex. Her daughter is going to represent England in the Commonwealth Games or something stupid like that. Very good gymnast, all the little floor exercises, the beam and all that malarkey. This girl's beautiful. She's very, very pretty. She's a lovely body, great pair of legs. She had a thrombotic episode on a plane. She had blood clots in her legs.
Yeah, I've
and
seen
I
that.
thought, what? You didn't know about this? But they do now. But I bet you if you spoke to her, now, she'd have a completely different, even if she didn't admit it to her husband or her family, she'd have a completely different take on having these things. But those you supply a bit of a safety valve. But that goes back to about the leading cards. There's some people said some really lovely things, and they didn't need to, which was lovely. But the thing is that they know that now that I've left, some people are going to have to actually do some work now.
Well, that's it. Now,
well, I gotta say that within where I work, there's a few people now who are awake. I mean, there's a few people who are awake anyway.
Really?
One of my good work colleagues, I taught him numerology and gematria. I've talked about him many times, and I got to be honest, he's absolutely shit hot at it now, and he's a lot further down the line than I am. He can decode pretty much anything that comes along and link events. I can't do that, but he can. But there's
that's a subject that spoke to him. That's great.
I tell you
the
something.
Thing is, I may ultimately have saved his life, because now when the news comes along with anything propaganda-ish, he'll see it and not fall for it.
That's right.
But there's other colleagues who I've spoken to who they are awake, and they'll quite often come talk to me about flat Earth. And obviously, this one of the chaps who I work with, he was on a flight somewhere, and he went and spoke to the pilot, and he said to the pilot, he said, "Are we on a ball or is it flat?" And the pilot said, "You're not recording this, are you?" And he said, "No." He said, "It's flat." He said, "That's what we get told." And there's other people I've spoken to. I've tried waking up a lot of people. I've saved a few people's lives. There's one in particular, one of my colleagues who I don't think he didn't realise I was trying to save his life, but long term, I think he's now realised that what I was telling him was the truth, and that was regards to the jibby jabbies, where he was going to go for it. I advised him not to, and he still did. He went for a second one, and then he ended up in hospital and had to have a stent fitted to his heart. And when he asked his doctor, if it was from the jibby jabby, the doctor pretty much said yes. And he came back to me. He said, "I wish I'd listened to you. I've tried warning you. I've tried," and that's the thing. As a conspiracy theorist in speech marks, we're not out there to try and sound like we're nutcases. My personal approach is, I'm trying to help people. So I get a lot of criticism for the numerology and stuff like that I posted. It's negative, but I'm not posting it to be negative. I'm posting it so that hopefully that if another major event comes along, the majority of people look at it and think, "Oh, it's bullshit. I'm not going to fall for this."
Well,
that's a life saved.
That's right. But a perfect example. Sorry, Paul, I didn't mean to cut across you there, but
it
was scurvy. Now, the Polynesian Islanders knew about scurvy long before it reared its ugly head, because they took fruit with them when they went on long voyages. Now, I think it was 300 years the Navy knew about scurvy, but it wasn't until some bright spark said, well, it's it's like a vitamin C, and you take limes with you. That's why they call us limeys. That you cure scurvy. Now, anybody that would have said in that 300 years, well, you just take fruit with you when you go on a long voyage, they said, oh, sod off, you're a conspiracy theorist. And that would have been it. But Alice Gorders has put this in capital letters, and anybody that puts anything in capital letters, they want me to read it out on the script. So she said, a man has just been cleared of unaliving a burglar. Castle doctrine states you can defend your house up to and including lethal force.
Does she mean in the UK or the United States? Because they've got the stand your ground doctrine in the United States. I think it's in Texas and Florida, unless I miss my guess. Yeah, and in Florida as well. Where they encourage you to shoot somebody if they enter your property.
Oh, yes.
They actually encourage you to shoot them.
And also they have signs on their doors. Every caller is met with an armed response.
Yes.
So you're not going to their door, but apparently there's already aids politeness. I bet it does, yeah.
Brilliant.
But,
Paul, can I just ask Paul a quick question? Paul, how did your fellow conspirators and you get together? Did they identify you or did you identify them? How did it happen? Because I'd be interested to know that, actually.
That's a good question. With regards to my mate at work who is doing numerology, I can't honestly remember. I think I just spoke to him about it. I was showing him a couple of things. I said, because I was still learning about numerology myself, and I started just explaining a few things. So if you've seen this, but look at this on. I might have even shown him a news article. I honestly can't remember how it started. But I taught him it, and sort of I sent him a spreadsheet. I got a spreadsheet with all the certain phrases on and what their values are, and a link to the Gematrinator website. And he went off and just did his own thing and learned. But other people, I'm not being big-headed. I'm not big-headed at all. I like to consider I'm fairly approachable, and not just with people at work. Some people you know when you're speaking to someone whether they're interested or not. You get that. Yeah, and I've spoken to people on trains. I was on a packed train coming back from Leicester, and there was a couple of people sat opposite me, and we started talking about electric vehicles, and I just basically said that they're a complete load of crap and they're to stop us travelling. This guy said, yeah, you're right. He said, and that gets a conversation going. And I know I get a lot of flack for liking public transport, but I tell you what. I've had more conspiracy chats on board trains and buses. I was on a bus somewhere, I can't remember where it was, possibly up in Yorkshire somewhere, and this chap came on and he sat across me and he said, "You're right," and we just started talking and we just started talking about conspiracy stuff. Amazing. And he was awake. And I thought, wow, this is great. And before he dinged the bell to get off the bus, he said, "Nice to meet you." He said, "Brilliant chat that was." And the thing is, whilst that bus is full, 2 people are talking, but other people within the vicinity are listening. So even if one more person has heard that conversation, they might have been doubting themselves and thinking, actually, what he's just said there makes sense.
Interesting. Interesting that the EV, the electric vehicles, are the first 2 letters of the word evil, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're spot on there. And you think the poor little sods in Africa digging out all the bleeding, what's it they run on these? Lithium mines. But we got love blossoming in chat. Because earlier, Aunt Sally said she loved your accent. Robert, she likes your accent. So there we go. She's a very nice tone there. And Alice Gordon says, we love you, Anorak. So there we go. So there's love blossoming around.
Best.
That's nice. But really, when you look at the state of everything and the way we are socially engineered, it is quite frightening. And do you find, Robert, I found that a lot of offices I worked in, the people were children, basically. They had never grown up, they had child minds. And they're all sort of one department against the other department, or that department, they don't know what they're doing, but we're good. And Bloody
They
hell.
live in little cells. They're incubated in these little cells. And these little
Yes.
cells can be as little as 3 people or 2 people or 7 people in a department. They literally occupy these little cells. And this is when there's workplaces at their worst. But if it's very, very, very seldom you can be a grown-up and have a grown-up conversation and agree to disagree with anybody in a workplace without them taking, without having serious repercussions further down the line, because people will hold that. They will hold it, they will record it in some way, and that will be it. And it's a really sad indictment, really. And it's the best advert I can think for being self-employed as well, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, Blu-ray says it reminds me of the Jabby Jabbies against spirituality that Rudolf Steiner warned of over 100 years ago. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And Blu-ray.
I was saying,
sorry, that was DJB too.
Then. Yeah. Do you find that you can speak to some people, like, for example, going back to what I was talking about with the work and teaching people how to do numerology and stuff, how some people get it and they see exactly what you're on about, and they go off and do what they're doing, and they learn it and they understand it, and the pennies start to drop, and this works. But the people in that same family don't get it at all, no matter how much evidence you show them. They still say, I said to you before we came on air about the issues I have sometimes with one of my in speech marks friends about numerology. I keep being told that it doesn't work. When I ask these individuals to show me how it doesn't work, they never do, because they can't.
I mean, there are people. Sorry,
other people like with the spraying of the skies. We were at myself and 2 other friends. We were at Leicester one day, and my one mate Dave, he could see. He's awake, and he said, "Oh look," he said, "they're manufacturing the next storm." But my other friend said, "No, it's just a vapor trail." No, it isn't. It isn't. We can see what it's doing. You can see.
Do you think this? Sorry, again, I've talked about, but do you think that they're doing something with the weather? Because I mean, 40 degrees. I'm sorry. I mean, the last time I remember it's 40 degrees was 76 when we had this massive.
76, yeah.
They seem to be trying to. I mean, this is the time when our crops are growing that we need food. And when you look, Scotland's getting, well, it's always wet. It seems to be continuously raining in Scotland. But where we are in the southeast, well, not yourself, Paul, but, us two, when did it last rain? I mean, I don't think it hasn't rained for bloody weeks, has it? I mean, the trees, the leaves are beginning to fall early because they're so dry, they look half dead, most of the trees.
I personally think this hot... But I personally think this hot spell is something to do with generating water and selling it later on. Watch out for the water stories coming up. Do you remember that guy from Nestle that said the water is not a human right?
Yes, I remember that.
It should be marketed. It's a commodity, he said, much like gold or orange juice or whatever it might be. It's a commodity, and we should treat it as such. Now, there are massive underground wells in places like Colorado, places like Montana, that are owned by these squillionaires, and they've literally capped them off. Now, people could use the water from there. There's a place in I think it's South Dakota where this it's a lake that has no tributaries and no outlet. So it's a landlocked lake, and the water is complete. It's gin clear. It is. Yeah. Now scientists cannot, for the life of them, figure out why this is the case. They said, is it something to do with the mineral content? Because it's only way it's supplied is by rain, snow. So obviously it's out in Dakota, so it's not boiling hot all the time. But the government have now seized certain research, in inverted commas, aspects of that, and you can't go anywhere near certain parts of that lake. There's another there's another. I was watching this thing on YouTube about water, which is very interesting. Now, there's this chap that was fined in Colorado for collecting rainwater.
I saw that.
Apparently, the state of Denver own what falls out of the sky.
That's unbelievable.
Literally. Now, this is literally acting against God. Now, those of us in the chat who are religious, that is a sin against God. Really?
It is.
I mean,
so hang on a minute. So if a bird shits on your head, you can sue the state of Colorado.
I think they'll probably forward you to the bird's attorney, probably, you know. But in all seriousness, though, that is the level of gall and hubris and sort of guts that these people operate on. It's I was listening to James Delingpole interviewing Richard Vobes before I came on, and Richard Vobes was saying, well, we can pretty much say and do what we like if we're in small cells, because they'll bat us away and say, we've got a bigger club than you, we'll just squash you. But if there's many of us all stinging, do you remember I used the analogy years ago when I first started being on the show, Chris, of 1,000 bee stings? One bee sting's not going to kill you, but 1,000 bee stings can kill a lion.
Oh, yes.
So we have to work by that principle. So if
I agree with you.
One bunch of us is looking at utilities and not paying their gas bill because it's unlawful, or water bill, or whatever it might be. Another set is looking at council taxes. Another set is looking at mortgages. Another set is looking at finance and credit cards. Another set is looking at identity through the birth certificate. If we all take a swing at what from our particular vantage point, if you want to call it that, it will fall. It will have to. It will fall.
I agree. I 100% agree with you. But the trouble is, we got to. You see, the thing is, we got to understand our enemy.
Well, you're quite right. But Paul's saying he thinks it's going down anyway. But have you got a time frame for that? Because a lot of people got itchy feet here, Paul.
I think the system is collapsing. It's what I observe. I think a lot of it is. I think a lot of it's. Yeah, I think a lot of it's definitely. I base my observations on, and I'm sorry I mentioned the train word again, on the freight trains I see, in the respect that. So last week before I was off for the week, and one of the days I went down to Leamington Spa, and you get container trains going down to Southampton docks for export. Now, if I'd have gone there 12 months ago, the container trains, they have about 30 odd flat wagons on from the locomotive to the back of the train. That would have been full from the locomotive to the back wagon. I saw 3 or 4 container trains on that Tuesday, and I could count the amount of containers on one hand on each of those trains. They could have basically sent one train with all those containers on, and there's still been space on it. And that seems to be.
But were they going to pick something up en route though, Paul? Do you think?
No, they literally go
to pick something up
for
en route.
example, you'd have one going from Trafford Park from Southampton to Trafford Park. So they'd loaded the containers would be loaded at the docks. They go on the train and they go through to Trafford Park or Crewe or each of the various Freightliner terminals across the country. And it's the imported ones that are coming along that are empty or virtually empty. And that's
interesting.
Wow.
Southampton. If you go
Still there?
Me?
We lost you, mate. You still there?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah,
It sounded like a sort of a nuclear grunt on the phone. Go.
Oh, sorry about that. That was Beans this morning.
That was the Beans. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
so even somewhere like Stafford, where you get the container trains coming from Felixstowe, which is a massive port, even then the inbound ones are fairly quiet. And if I go based on that alone, it appears that there's not a lot. That the system is collapsing, and there's a lot less freight.
Alex Gorgeous has just said something. Sorry, Alex Gorgeous has just said something, and it echoes what I was thinking actually. So they are collapsing it on purpose. Hatchy said, Alice Gorgeous, you're right. Now, they are collapsing. I don't think anything happens by coincidence or by accident with these people. This is a staged manage.
But they think differently to us.
Obsolescence. They do. It goes back to that line in the Screw Tape Letters, where they consider human beings to be food. Now, we are being devoured, almost literally, because there are reports of cannibalism, eating children, consuming their matter, and consuming their blood. There's all sorts of things like that, and I don't think it's a coincidence. Some of it might just leak out. Some of it might just sneak out. There's a guy called Guy Anderson who's responsible for me stopping not eating pork anymore. He completely balled me up with that. I used to love a bacon sandwich. Not anymore. I haven't eaten pork. I haven't eaten pork for probably about 3 months now since listening.
Really?
To
what's happened with the pork then? Is it because
what happened?
Because Paul English doesn't eat pork either.
Right. We wouldn't know it to see him, would you? Anyway, the thing about it is that he said that there were tribes that called white men the long pigs, they called them. And they said their flesh was wonderful to eat and it tasted like pigs. So this is genetically, we're close to pigs because they use pigs for surgery, for exchange surgery and to grow cells and organs in before they retransplant them to human bodies. So that got me thinking. That really got me thinking. And then I had a call from Donny Wasman. Do you remember Donny, Chris?
Yes, I remember Donny. Yes, you reminded me.
Donny gave me a call and he alerted me to this video called Planet Mind Control. And I don't know if anybody in the chat has heard of this. And they were basically, Planet Mind Control is literally telling us how we're being controlled through the media in many ways by looking at certain scenes in movies where there's always coffee available, where there's always booze available. And I looked at it and I thought, he's absolutely right. Now, as part of my leaving thing, people were giving me bottles of wine, which is very sweet of them. And they're all in my storage unit now. I haven't touched a drop for about 2 months now. And I'm winding down my coffee. I'm actually getting rid of my coffee. And then I'm going to go to something else. I've already started drinking tea more. Now, this is part of the control system. This is part of the system that they lay in place. And it's reflected at work as well. And I mean, look at what they did to me by clipping my wings and not abusing my GDPR, but basically essentially telling me that it doesn't matter. We want the information or you don't get the job. Now, I didn't need the job. I needed the income. It's an important distinction to make because most of us work for an income and not for a job. Unless we are fortunate in working in a place that we love our co-workers, we love what we do for a living, and it gives us a sense of fulfillment and an achievement. But very few people get to do that. Very few people.
I agree with you. And if you've got a good job, it'll be a low pay. High paid, very rarely get the two to get high paid, good job. Seriously.
Blu-ray 1444 has come up with a very, very prescient comment by saying pork can make you ill. There is a parasite in it. And he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Now, I think I'm going through withdrawal because I'm actually changing different aspects of my diet as well. So I think it's I think what it is that your body can become conditioned to things, and it can become conditioned to alcohol. I mean, I made a chili tonight, a nice big bowl of chili, and normally I would have had a glass of red wine and a bit of bread and butter with it, but I thought, I don't have any red wine in that, don't have any alcohol in that, so I can't have any. So I've got to just find something else to drink. So it's just that's how conditioned you are. Oh, I'm dying for a drink. I could use a drink. Oh my God. You know, that's something. Oh God, I haven't had my coffee yet. I'm not sane until I've had my coffee. I hear that almost every morning at work now when I go in. Oh, have you switched your coffee machine on? Because part of my responsibility, we've got these students, like the gadget ones that you find in the cafe.
I know
so I have to switch those on. and put milk in them and make sure
By the
they've
way,
been cleaned out and everything.
I will
Sorry.
warn you, in a minute or two's time, some music will start automatically. It won't be me. And we'll be
Okay.
saying goodbye to Food for Thought Radio, but we'll still be carrying on YouTube and Rumble. But I just thought I'd warn you because you think, where's this bloody music coming from? But Hachi, sorry, I'll just cover this one. Hachi says, I'm off processed meats still. A lot I like, unfortunately. Well, actually, if you have oodles of vitamin C with them, it nullifies the processed part. So if you have like kiwi fruits with them, or afterwards or before, it neutralizes your in your stomach. Apparently, according to a so-called expert on YouTube, a doctor. So I don't know.
Okay.
The thing is, on the back of what you're saying there, it's also, I mean, I've changed my approach to food completely. I mean, I was explaining this individual on Facebook last night about how I've changed my health and so on. So I mean, I don't look particularly healthy, but I feel healthier. But if people watch movies and things like that, so for example, I'll give an example. So the Die Hard movies with Bruce Willis.
Yes.
You've got Die Hard with a Vengeance, where, and in the first one actually, where he's taking tablets. Well, if you're a Die Hard Bruce Willis fan and you see that, you're going to see that and think, well, he's done it, so I can do it. And you find that a lot with a lot of the popular programs, like Only Fools and Horses was another one, where they'd have a curry or a burger and chips or a McDonald's or that sort of stuff. And the people who are listening to that will also be doing the same. And also, it's the tactical thing, the adverts as well. So when I was going back quite a few years, when I was living elsewhere or was with my ex-partner, you'd listen, the radio would be on, and at about between 5 and 5:30, you'd start getting the adverts for Burger King and McDonald's, other places that sell poison are also available. But that's not by accident, that's deliberate, because people will be going home, sitting in queues of traffic, feeling hungry and thinking,
absolutely,
you know something,
this is
I ain't
all
gonna
on
go
that documentary called Planet Mind Control. It's all on that.
Yeah. And it's done deliberately. It's so blatantly obvious that it's done on purpose.
I'll tell you something. It seems that Food for Thought Radio has disappeared disappeared somewhere because the music hasn't come in. So I don't know what the hell's happened to it. So that's a bit weird.
Paul, there's one thing I wanted to raise. You mentioned Only Fools and Horses. Have you heard the sort of rumblings about David Jason's private life?
No.
I suspect as he works for the BBC, I suspect he's probably very similar to everybody else who works for the BBC. You know where I'm going with that one.
I don't know.
Of course, that he could be a bit of a wrong apparently.
Could be a bit of a what? Sorry?
A wrong one. Yeah. Now, as in the Mr. Savile, that sort of.
Oh yes.
But apparently, there's a lot of things that have been suppressed, and that the documents that have been sort of hushed up or redacted or whatever else, and they don't want to release these things. I mean, that would kill me. That would. I love David Jason. I think he's fantastic. I remember Open All Hours, the Top Secret Life of Edgar Briggs, if you remember that, Chris, from way back. He was great in that.
He's very good.
A Touch of Frost as well. He was great in that as well.
And go back further with comedy that he did in the 1970s and 80s.
Yes.
He was very, very funny. What was it now? Where he played the part of a bungling secret agent.
Yeah, Top Secret Life of Edgar Briggs. Yeah, Top Secret Life of Edgar Briggs.
Do you remember with Egg and Bacon, where he puts top secret documents on his table in the morning, turns around, his wife's not looking, she puts his bacon and egg on the documents, he closes it up, puts it in his briefcase, then when he goes to this posh meeting, he opens the document up and shows it to people. There's egg and bacon on there. They're going, what? It was very, very good. Secret Life of Edgar Briggs. That was it. Yes.
Lovely stuff. Lovely
but
stuff.
before that, there's a lot actually on YouTube, which was what was it now? He did a lot with Monty Python as well.
Yes.
In the early days.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
I think it's fair to say that they don't get into these positions without being compromised, should we say? I think that applies to pretty much everyone. I think that's why
it is
Lineker's
not
managed.
just talent, Paul. Actually, yeah, he's disappeared. Well, I remember hearing a story about him because he's got a propensity for touching other men's wives. Ergo Colin Montgomery's wife, which apparently caused their divorce. Now, do you remember when Gary Lineker used to be at the Open Championship inside the ropes, interviewing the players as they were playing their practice round? Do you remember that? And he was also at the Masters as well. Now, apparently, there was one instance where they were at Muirfield or somewhere like that at the Open Championship, and he walked past Colin Montgomery. Colin Montgomery burst into tears. He said, "Get that man out of my sight." And his caddy of something like 20-odd years, Alistair, said, you better leave. He wants you to leave. He's not going to hit a shot anywhere near you unless he hits it at you. So I'd get off if I were you. So apparently that got around. And because he was a member at Sunningdale, which has got a beautiful spa and everything. And this is the subtle word. I don't know how true it is, but it could be an urban myth. But apparently he was also a member there as well. And obviously he connected up with his wife that way. But it's no secret that man has got a roving eye. And that is, Paul, I think you've hit the nail on the head. That is partly why he's not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And if you notice, his look has changed now. He's not clean shaven anymore. He doesn't have the neatly trimmed goatee anymore. He's got a full little goatee beard, like a pointy thing, like a devil. Have you noticed that now?
Exactly. So do we think it's still the same individual, or do we think he's been replaced? Because I think a lot of these individuals get replaced with.
I think he's been possibly replaced or co-opted. He's definitely been got at in some manner, because he's starting to do slightly more edgy stuff now as well. If you look at the Football podcast he's on now, there's a bit more swearing on it as well and things like that. And you've got the affable and sort of giggly imbecile that is Micah Richards. Lovely guy, but he's got the most toxic and offensive laugh you've ever heard. And he was a half a decent player, but he was just some of his stories are amazing. But he's very self-deprecating. He's always having a dig at himself, which is endearing to a lot of people. But I find that a little bit weird in an athlete, actually. I find them a little bit, if you're too self-deprecating, you couldn't have been very successful. That's what I think anyway, you know.
Well,
but again you've got Gary Lineker advertising Walker's crisps.
Yeah.
Well, Lineker will be deemed as a hero to the people who follow football, so we'll go out and buy bags and bags and bags of Walker's crisps, which is full of shite, basically. Apparently.
Well, that also led. I think, I don't know which came first: the sponsorship of Leicester City, or the fact that they're made in Leicester, or the fact that Lineker played for Leicester, or all three. But it all seems to have. They all seemed to, the stars aligned there, didn't it? So you had Walker's with the shirt sponsor for Leicester City. That was Gary Lineker's first team. Then he went to Everton. Everton. Then was it Barcelona? Then Grand Passat, then Spurs, or I can't remember which way around it was, but I know that Leicester City was his first team. So he, that's where he started, you know.
Did you say that the shirts had Walkers on it, or was it a spelling error? Did it all
Oh, that is unkind, Paul. That is unkind and beneath you, sir. Beneath you.
But what you're saying is not new, because there was an MP called Bob Boothby in the 1960s who was in with the Cray twins.
Yes.
And they used to supply rent boys to him because he was AC/DC, he swung both ways. And he actually had an affair with Macmillan's wife. And
he also was physically and sexually assaulted on several occasions by Reggie Cray, apparently, because he liked a bit of rough. Yes, apparently
I didn't know that. But
Yeah.
and
Reggie
there's
Craig,
some very
Reggie Craig gave an offer he couldn't refuse, didn't he?
well. And also there's pictures of Cliff Richard with the I think it was with Bill Bob Boothby and the Craze and all that, and
Yes. Yeah.
it's
They're all
surprising how
part of
they.
the same thing. Ultimately, they all
Yeah.
fall into the same category. I mean, they all look like they're individuals, but they're not. They're all part of the same. In order to get fame and fortune, they have to be compromised.
Yeah.
They I would imagine most of them are compromised. Maybe not all, but
There
they don't.
is.
They ultimately sell their souls for fame and fortune. So they're all part of the same club, no matter who it is. Unless
There
they've
is
tried to get out of it, like Prince and Whitney Houston, who tried
George
to speak
Michael
out.
too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Michael as
Yes.
well, yeah.
and they were
But
removed.
There's something that I wanted to watch by Sonia Poulton, the journalist, and it's called The Dark Side of Cliff Richard, and I've got it
Oh
queued up.
yes.
I've got it queued up. She'd be great to get onto the show, Chris, if you could get her.
Oh, it's a bit high profile. Might do. You never know.
Why not? I mean, I tell you who would be brilliant as
try.
well. Kate Shemirani. She'd be
Yes.
great. Because what you could do is have her on with Miles and talk about health. Because she is a great health advocate. And obviously she got rid of cancer, apparently.
Well, I've had Dr. Myhill on here, and she advocates similar to the keto diet.
Yes.
And this is what I'm on at the moment. I mean, I don't call it a diet. I call it a change of lifestyle. I mean, I lost 1.5 stone in 2 weeks when I went over to it about 3 years ago. I feel really good on it. I really do. But the trouble is, you see, there's always a conflicting view. For example, what I said earlier about meats like bacon and things like that, industrialized meats. There's a doctor that's saying if you have plenty of vitamin C, it's perfectly okay to eat those meats. And then you find another doctor saying the opposite.
Yeah.
Now, what with the keto diet, what they're saying is it's going back to what our ancestors ate, because our ancestors were hunter-gatherers and they only ate one meal a day. It's only within the last 100 years we've gone over to 3 meals a day, and that was marketing. And the other thing is cereal. I mean, I've given up wheat and sugar, and there are substitutes. For example, now if I have any sugar, it turns acidity on me because my body sort of got used to it. Yeah.
But you're talking about meals and meal times. I find now that one meal and something very light when I get home is more than enough. When I was working a 12-hour stint, I'd have a good breakfast. I'd have my sirloin or my ribeye, a couple of poached eggs, or a nice bit of grilled trout or grilled salmon, and my poached egg, or my green juice with all the sort of kale and everything mushed up in it.
Yeah.
I'd have that, and that would hold me until I'd get really hungry by about 4 or 5 o'clock, and then I'd buckle and just go out and buy some crackers and some sardines or something.
Yeah.
But I found out now that one meal a day is almost enough. If I were to eat that meal a little bit later, I'm pretty sure I could get by on one meal a day. I'm pretty sure. Because it's a substantial meal, not a Scotch egg, but a substantial meal. But it's a substantial meal.
I have a bloody great part. It's a bit like a Desperate Dan, the cow pie with a bleed noon's coming out the side. But I mean, not. But the thing is that I basically eat. There's. Have you ever heard of a chap called Eddie Abu? Eddie Abu?
Yes, I have actually.
And he bloody hell, he knows his stuff. He really does know his stuff. And he doesn't have vegetables or fruit. And he said, if you are going to have any vegetable, anything like that, it should have an avocado. He reckons that's quite good. But he has ribeyes and things like that. Healthy fat. But there's an Australian doctor on there saying, this is all terrible. You've got to have all fruit. And she's a fruitarian. Now, look what happened to, who's that geezer at Apple? What was his name now? He was a fruitarian. He
Oh, right.
died. The big C. Can't think of his
Yeah,
name.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve
Yeah,
Jobs.
Steve
Steve Jobs.
Jobs. Yeah.
Now, he was a
Yeah.
fruitarian. Now, my
Mm.
feeling is our ancestors must have known a thing or two, because we wouldn't be here if they didn't. And when you go way, 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 way back, apparently we're designed to go without food. Hang on a minute. Alice Gold just says Eddie is jabbed. I very much doubt it. But
Eddie who?
really, Eddie Ebu,
Eddie
I think his name is.
No,
Yeah, I know you're on about.
really?
I doubt it. I don't know. I don't want
Alice, it must be only just the one. Tell us it's just the only one.
I very much doubt it, because the way he
I'm
goes off,
not
because
on
he was an
Facebook, Alice. No.
because he was an ex-psychiatric nurse. I mean, he's a weightlifter,
Mm.
bloody geezer. I mean, blimey, he
Jesus.
certainly. I mean,
Right.
he's in his 60s, but you wouldn't think he was. You think he's in his 40s. But
God. Yeah.
but he
that would be it.
swears on eggs. He reckons eggs are brilliant.
No,
But
I'm
again,
brilliant. Eggs are
a
brilliant,
massive
yeah.
advocate for eggs. If I could give a quick plug to the people that I get my eggs and my veg from, Riverford Farms, fabulous, and they deliver early
Really?
in the morning. Yeah, and they deliver to my postcode anyway every Thursday. My Thursday's delivery came at 4:55 in the morning.
wow, Riverford.
This guy gets up bloody early. I'll send you the link. And if anybody's interested, I don't get any kickback for this, but I just want to spread the love. They're very, very good. There's also a place called Amity Fish. They're up in Aberdeen somewhere up there. And they do really beautiful fish, and they deliver on a next day basis as well. Not cheap, but it's gorgeous, and it's all just been dragged out of the sea.
But if it's quality, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And this is the thing about
precisely,
folks,
yeah.
good business. I mean, you've spoken to Miles, haven't you, Robert? And so,
Yes, I
so
have.
you, Paul. And now I was in Miles's place a couple of weeks ago, and it's going through my mind. Now, the NHS, putting it bluntly, is crap. Absolute crap. It's to me. I think it's a big pharma cash cow. That's all it is.
It's designed to fail. It's designed to fail.
That's
One,
right.
it takes our money.
Now, I was thinking. Now, Miles has got to be good to survive. And I used to work with a bloke who used to do a lot of contracts in these third world countries.
Yeah.
And he said he would never eat in the tourist hotels. When he went out, he would go down where the locals go and join the biggest queue. He said the longest queue will be and eat street food. And he said in the tourist hotels, people were going down with gut rot, left, right, and centre. Yet he didn't. And then people laughed and said, "You're not going down those places, are they?" He reckons that the street food, they were not only scrupulously clean, they had to be, because if they fed the locals rubbish, they wouldn't get custom. People wouldn't go to them. They had to be good to keep going. And I think this is what we really need sort of more of. You go to a place out of choice because they're bloody good. You go to that farm place because they're bloody good. I mean, I'll get my eggs from a farm which is in walking distance from me. Why? Because, I mean, they're cheaper than a local supermarket, but sometimes you get the egg and it's warm and it's got crap around it. That's how I want the egg, because the chickens just laid it. They have to buy in. They can't supply the quantity of eggs that the demand, so they have to buy eggs in. But I've been told they are organic, even though they're not labelled organic. So there we go.
Sorry,
you're going to
as we're
say, Paul?
promoting stuff, and I don't do this very often at all. I'd like to promote Corbett's Butchers in Shrewsbury in the market, along with the
Excellent.
I think who the veg stall is I go to, but they're in the same
Do they
place.
deliver though? Do they deliver?
No, but it's like being in the old traditional market where all the meats are there in the counter. And I mean, I went there yesterday and bought 3 chicken thighs with the skin on. I bought a piece of steak, some sirloin steak but chopped up so I can put it into a casserole, and some chicken liver. And it got 18, 20 quid for that. It's fantastic. And the same
That's
the
not
vegetable I
bad.
use. It's all. I mean, it's one of the few places I can get fresh turmeric from and fresh ginger and all sorts of different. They even do beautiful little orange tomatoes, which I've been having. I'd stopped having tomatoes because they're not particularly good for you. But
No.
according to the Bell
I
Hat
heard
Farm,
that
the
as
orange
well.
ones
I
are
heard
good.
that about tomatoes. Justin Rose, the golfer, he was talking about his modus operandi for making him into he's a wonderful player, by the way, making him into what he is now. And he's set up a whole system for himself with his own. He takes his own food on tour, apparently. So he's obviously, I think he lives in the Bahamas, obviously, but he's obviously flying back to play at Royal Birkdale this weekend, where basically he made his name. If anybody follows golf, they remember him chipping in on the 18th or the 17th, and he won the amateur medal that year. He almost won the tournament as well as an amateur. He was something like stupid, like 17. But anyway, because it's been that long since he played there and whatever else, that's where he made his name. And he was talking also about not eating tomatoes, Paul, which I thought was really very telling, very illuminating.
And potatoes as well are a bit dodgy. But
Really?
Alice Gore just says, asked you a question, Robert. Do they sell red snapper though?
I've just sent her. I doubt it. I think it's sea. They're sea orientated fish because they're right by the coast.
Yeah.
But you can actually. I've sent Alice a little link so she can have a little look. The lady that deals with your orders will be the proprietor's daughter, Jenna. Her name is. I think she's on Facebook, but I know she's on LinkedIn because I speak to her a bit on LinkedIn. She's lovely, very nice lady. And her dad, nice. For what it's worth, her dad has just got a gong, hasn't he? He's got an MBE or an OBE.
Really?
Which I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but in their world, it's great. In our world, perhaps not. You know.
But you just said, Paul, you got chicken livers. If you go into a supermarket, you can't get chicken livers. There's certain things you can't get, and it's all it's all sort of the same old crap. I mean, what gets me is that the amount of when you look at this idea, was it grass-fed mince? How do you know? Blimey.
I think you have to take it on good faith, Chris. Yeah.
Well, you have to. But you see, the thing is, I go to a place called Delicious, where they sell raw milk. Now, our ancestors have drunk raw milk since the cows came home. I like that one, since the cows came home. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, you can see the cows, you see the flies, you can smell the manure, and you know that's where it comes from. Now, why should we drink milk that comes from Poland or out of Mongolia or wherever?
Absolutely,
you know?
I completely agree. Absolutely not. Chris, I think that chap used to supply the farmers market at Swiss Cottage on a Wednesday, but didn't he pass away, this guy, from that dairy up by you? Or was it another dairy?
I don't know. This is near Hartford. This is Delicious. And
that's it.
And it's a family run. There's a daughter there, and there's husband and wife, and that. And the health inspectors are down on them. They're really heavy on them. But they got a machine there, and you can go there up to 6 o'clock. And what I've noticed is a heck of a lot of Muslims and Arabs getting their milk from there. Hell of a lot. So they're driving out of London, I suppose. And and Eastern Europeans, which are of course used to raw milk. But this idea of homogenized milk, you might as well buy coloured water, as far as I'm concerned, because it's just.
My approach is if it's in a supermarket, it's bound to be lacking any sort of nutrition whatsoever.
Full of growth hormones.
I mean, let's be honest. Most of the shells have got branded poison on them, haven't they? Like Coca-Cola and all these other things that are just no good for anybody's health at all.
Well, that's the reason why blokes are getting man boobs, because of the bloody growth hormones they're shoving in the milk.
Absolutely, and other things, and the water as well. Let's not get past the water. Now, Chris, you said a very interesting thing about offal, and Paul alluded to it by saying that he can buy You can buy chicken livers. Now, there's certain civilizations that believe that the spirit is in the entrails, is in the offals, and that's why they eat it. After Isandlwana and Rorke's Drift, well, not so much Rorke's Drift, but Isandlwana, when the Zulus kind of vanquished the British Army, they cut open the stomachs of some of the British soldiers that were dead. Now, obviously, in the times it was they're barbaric, it's animals, but what they were doing, it was letting the spirit of the warrior out to join the spirit of the other. That's what they were doing, because you speak through your stomach. They were thinking, and that's where your spirit and your soul is. And I just found that interesting, and I think that possibly links to what you were saying, that you can't get offal and livers and things like that in supermarkets anymore.
Well, you can in Tesco's. You can get livers and you can get hearts, lamb's hearts. But I don't know about other supermarkets. But there are other sort of offal that you used to be able to get that you can't get. You know, I don't know.
One of the things I've been trying to get is thyroid, because I've got an underactive thyroid. I've been trying to even the place in Shrewsbury, they don't. This place in Shrewsbury doesn't do them. But it would be something I'd like to get to hopefully improve on my own. But I've had lamb's kidneys and stuff like that, and liver, but what you have to watch with things like liver and kidneys though is because it's such a dense meat. You look at it and think, oh, it's only small, so you put them all in the pan, and then you come to eat and think, bloody hell, is this hard work? Because it's really dense meat, but it's good. That's why I've gone on to chicken livers, because they're smaller. And they are far easier to, you just chuck them in a pan and away they go. It's brilliant. Really
I think we just lost all the vegetarians. And believe it or not, I used to be a vegan. I was a vegan at one time, and I was a vegetarian at one time. But I were, not now. But the thing is that it's a sort of a fad I went through. Strange. I was at a difficult age. But no, the fact of the matter is that. I want to get Dr. Natasha back on as well as Dr. Myhill, because with liver, apparently you should only eat it about once a week, no more than that, apparently, because of the density. And what I do, I make a load and then I shove it in the freezer. So 3 or 4 weeks later, so I do that a lot. But I think that what Dr. Natasha was saying, and I don't want to misquote her on this, but she was talking about a tribe, 2 tribes on an island, and there's the tribe that lives near the sea, who do catch fish and eat them, and the tribe that live in the centre of the island, who often go down and trade with the tribe who catch the fish. That's fair enough. But the tribe that's live in the centre of the island, now this is something that I didn't realise, I thought it was the other way around. They are vegan or vegetarian. Sorry, I think they're vegan. And they turn to cannibalism after a while if the tribe who catch the fish have had a bad catch and they don't catch as many. And she reckons that the reason that vegans, and again, I don't want to misquote her, I want to get it from her, are so angry and wound up is because they're lacking so much in their diet and it's affecting their minds. Now that's again, which is quite intriguing, because I think that I used to suffer from panic attacks and that, and since I changed my diet, it's gone. It's gone.
That's
so there's lots of because
So-
your
So
stomach is
there's
a second
a-
brain.
protein.
Yeah.
I'll tell you with that tribe then, that if you said, should we have our neighbour over for dinner? Should you bring the salt and pepper with you and all?
Let's toast Granny, shall we?
I think she won't fit in the oven.
But it's funny, this thing about pork, though, isn't it? I mean, when you think about it, Muslims and Jews don't eat pork, and it's a very strange thing. Because did you know that a pig is more intelligent than dogs? Pigs have got a much higher IQ, and you can train a pig things that a dog would be a bit too dumb to understand. I mean, I'm not talking about algebra.
Pigs are close to humans, don't they? In terms of, because haven't they put things like pigs' hearts into humans before now?
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's something to do
Yeah,
with.
I mentioned that
I
a
know,
little bit earlier on, actually. Yeah, yeah.
I know
Yeah.
pork is deemed as a dirty meat, although like you,
Mm.
Rob, I do like a bacon sandwich periodically.
Hmm.
Oh,
But
I used to love it, Paul. Oh my God.
but then
With
I'm sure
Rawson's name.
even things like the Bible. I mean, I'm not a Bible basher by any means, but
Mm.
it does say in there that things like the lamb and cattle and
Cloven
fowl are
hooves, I
okay,
think.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but it doesn't mention anything about the swine, or if it does, it's to say, I think it's to say
Yeah.
to avoid it.
Mm. I think one reading about the father put on.
Hmm. So really, this thing, I mean, what I found with bacon is if you soak it overnight in water,
Mm.
a lot of the, I wouldn't say the nitrates, but the saltiness comes out. And I did
Mm.
that with some bacon that I bought in I won't say the name of the supermarket, but every little helps. And
Mm. Oh, that.
and quite honestly, if you'd have tasted cardboard, you'd probably thought, a bit more tasty the cardboard would have been to this bacon.
Really?
I threw it. It was absolutely
Oh
disgusting.
my God.
So I don't know quite what's wrong. But that's the trouble. It's the nitrates that is the problem. But they put nitrates in vegetables. That's how they're grown, in nitrates.
Mm.
So it's very difficult to escape nitrates unless you do what Survival Steve does, and that is wild foraging. And the other thing is mushrooms apparently are a wonder food for us. But I don't know. I can take with mushrooms. I think take them or leave them. Anyway, we're coming near the end of the show now. Thanks, Robert, for coming on. Thank you, Paul, for coming on. It's much appreciated. I don't think if there's anything you want to say to the audience before we go, but thank you, everybody in chat.
Thank you for listening in.
Now, apparently, DJ B2 says naked bacon, I've seen that, does not have nitrates. Yeah, but apparently it's got something else in it. So you can't win.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Yes.
I mentioned it earlier, the parasites that are in the pork. Yeah, it's, yeah.
Really? Well, it's like cod, apparently that's got worms in it. But have you noticed you can't get you can't easily get cod nor haddock now so easily? When you go shopping in the supermarket, and if you see it, it's bloody expensive. I mean, cod used to be as cheap as anything, not any longer. And they're selling whiting fish and whiting. I remember the time when it was unfit for human consumption. People bought it for their cats. They actually fed whiting to cats. So I don't know why it's now become perfectly okay for humans to eat it. Have you noticed that?
Interesting.
Oh, the other one is the river cobbler from Vietnam. They reckon it's actually it's in sewage water. So I've heard.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yes, it's got
That
that tastes
tastes like shit,
a bit. That tastes like shit. Well, in Vietnam, I think they eat rats, don't they? They have a certain breed of rat that they eat. Anyway, thank you very much, gents, for joining me this evening. Thank you very much, everyone in chat. And remember, please subscribe, shove the old thumbs up, and whatever happens, tune in tomorrow night, same time, same place, whatever.